Hi, I'm Don Simmons, and you are inside the sound chamber. You know, International Sound Therapy Association is having its 20th anniversary, and we're going to have a conference in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be October the 2nd through the 4th. And then there's an extra day on the 5th. We've got even more longer sessions that are there. And so with ISTA, International Sound Therapy Association, we are bringing together some of the greatest speakers, some of the most visionary minds in regards to sound and sound therapy. One of those people is our guest tonight, and that's Delores DeVore. Welcome, Delores. What you're sharing with us is redefining solfeggio and discovering the scale of 11.
Yeah.
Just right away, I am intrigued. First of all, I gotta say, I am a huge fan of tuning forks. I think it really is the magic wand of our life right now. And I encourage everyone to have a tuning fork in your medicine cabinet. Delores, you've been around, especially with International Sound Therapy Association, for a very long time, and we
Since its
appreciate,
inception.
yeah, since its inception. And I want to thank you for all of the work that you have done for this. But you come about not just as someone who is with ISTA and been doing things in the behind the scenes with ISTA. You are a true practitioner of sound therapy.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about where you got your interest in sound therapy, and especially with tuning forks.
Well, it started really crazy. First of all, I was in meditation in '87, and I was told to get some tuning forks. And I thought, wow, okay. And then I went to a workshop, and the leaders came up to me afterwards and he said, "You have something about sound that you need to bring forward in this lifetime. And you need to start by reading Stalking the Wild Pendulum." Well, that scared the bejesus out of me. I'm telling you. I bought the book and it sat on the shelf for a year before I ever had the courage to read it. That's how scared that message was to me.
Yeah.
But it all was about vibration. It was about using, it was talking about strings, dividing them, and you get an octave and all kinds of things like that. So it was more technical, but at the same time that this was going on, I was also intrigued with toning. And there was a book at the time by Elizabeth Keys called Toning. And so I got that. So I had the tuning forks, I had this book, but I still was just a little confused as to exactly what I needed to do. And Gregory Possiman, I don't know if you remember him, he was saying, "I know what you need. You need this book from Ted Andrews called Healing with Sound and Color." And there was a session on tuning forks in that. And that's how I started.
Loved our Ted Andrews. God bless his soul. What a great writer.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So,
that book was actually a uh, small book compared to his Animal Speaks book, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, absolutely. The Animal Speaks is truly a Bible. But any book that Ted Andrews has written, my belief is just get it. Just get
Yes, yes, that's
it.
right. He was truly one of the early pioneers.
He really was. He really was. Um, what drew you to the Solfeggio frequencies? Because you come from a mathematics background, and when I
Right.
think about Solfeggio, all I can think about is math.
Really.
Yes, I don't know why, but
I That's really interesting because uh I will tell you what I heard about it around the turn of the century, around 2000. There was a new set of tuning fork. I've been teaching tuning fork classes and stuff by this time. And I said, "Oh, there's a new set. Let me go check it out." So I did that and I got into David Halsey's workshop and I did his course and etc. And I said, I'm going to go read the book where all of this came from. I want to see what's going on. And I always like to go back to the source as often as I can.
Mhm.
And when I started reading it, I started finding mistakes, logical mistakes. First of all, the name.
Right.
Solfeggio, up until the year 2000 or whenever Dr. Palaio named these frequencies, just meant a system that describes a scale, not defines it. There is no definition. There is nothing that ever references a frequency
Interesting.
in
Right.
the original solfeggio. It's do re mi fa sol la ti do. That's what it is.
Right. Interesting.
And so when he misnamed it, that got me intrigued. And then I went on to find out that not only that, that the the numbers that he had found didn't they weren't in the song to him, the John the Baptist, which is where he was getting all his definitions from. So it was just compounded. And so I had lots of things. I said, okay, it's time for me to go back to square one, get the three clues, and then figure out really what's going on. And the paleonumbers.com site is my discovery of the solution to all three clues, not just the first one, which he did do. He solved clue one, but he didn't do clue two or clue three.
Fascinating. Now, what is it that you're sharing in the discovering the scales of 11? What does that mean?
Well, that means that the third clue pointed me to this very interesting scale. Uh, when I was looking at it and I was looking at the frequencies, I said, do they belong to a scale? If so, what is it? That's what I was initially looking for.
Hmm.
And I found a, I had a book called The Power of Limits. And on page 50, there was a new scale, which I have defined as the light scale. And it wasn't the tuning fork scale that we use with C equals 256. It wasn't the Pythagorean scale. And I just said, what scale is this? But then I looked, and two of the tones, 396 and 528, were in that scale. And I said, is this the scale that these frequencies belong to? So I started working with it. And I looked at the scale. And the first thing I noticed was that the intervals were all multiples of 11, either 33, 22, 44, etc. I thought, interesting. They're multiples of 11. And then I went back and then I noticed the frequencies themselves were multiples of 11.
Right.
So that's where so that's where it all started from. And what traditionally scales are the next note is created by multiplying a fraction to get to the next note. This scale adds 11, adds, not multiplies.
Interesting.
So
Right.
every note is a whole number. Every note is a multiple of 11. Every interval is a multiple of 11. So that's how come I call it the scale of 11.
Would make sense.
Yeah.
Now, what do you, we were talking earlier, and this is something that's really brand new, and it's in the stages of being discovered. Is that correct?
Well, yes, now that I've discovered it, is we're in the point and the position where we need to find out what does it really do? I mean, what do these ratios do for us? Where do we go with it?
Right.
Is it limited to tuning forks, or do we need a new keyboard? Do we need to work and beyond uh, and look at higher frequencies? Because I have found already mathematical constants as ratios in this scale. I have found dimensions in the Great Pyramid, and in fact, a lot of the structures on Giza. And I suspect that all of the ancient monuments will have structure dimensions that we could find as ratios in this scale.
What do you think this can lead to?
I think my gut feeling is that it's going to activate Giza.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
When it sort of all comes together. It's
Yeah.
sort of like putting the emerald ring in the eye of the
Right. Now that I can't prove it, and at 84, I'm not going to Giza. So my job, I think, is showing the scale, showing the possibilities, and there's going to be somebody younger that's going to come along and take it to the next level.
Dolores, you're really pioneering something that is way beyond the known. And, this is the thing that I really love about sound is that it is completely ancient. And at the same time, it's getting this resurgence
Yeah,
that people of wisdom, of curiosity, like yourself and many others, that are using this opportunity to expand consciousness in such a great way by using something that actually has been around for a while.
right.
And so what you're doing at the conference is that you're speaking on this to be able to find those next explorers.
Yes,
What
yes.
a
I'm looking for that because I don't think anybody that picks up this scale is going to be a novice.
Yeah,
I think there are already going to be people that are working with forks already.
yeah. Would they also be working with other things? It's interesting because I was thinking about somebody who plays the guitar or plays the piano,
Right.
because those are all still notes, I guess.
No, they're not because
No,
the piano is an equal temperament scale, and it's totally different. It doesn't match the tuning fork scale of what the called the harmonic spectrum.
got it.
That's different from the equal temperament scale, and this scale is even still different. Actually, there are 25 notes in this scale, including the two octaves.
Yeah.
And out of that, I can already pull 6 different scales.
Wow.
And so one of them is a scale of 11 equal temperament.
Hmm.
One is which is called just intonation, which is what the harmonic spectrum scale is. Then a chromatic scale. Then the new scale that I found within that one, which I call the adjusted the resolved just scale, and then there's the microtone scale, and there's the lambdoma series also. Sorry about that.
That's okay. This is just really fascinating, and I can see where, this is a deep dive into the true science and creativity of sound.
Right.
And I do believe that it's the wedding of both places,
Yeah.
science and
And I
intuition.
think for people that are knowing, I'm not going to be talking about the math too much in the class. I'm
Yeah,
going to share a little bit of my story and how I found it, but then we're going to listen to different sounds that come from the scale of 11. And I'll
yeah,
have a set of tuning forks there that people can also listen.
that's fantastic. I love that. Um, so I would venture to say that if those people there listening and wanting to explore more sound, this is really a great session to be a part of, no
Right. Yeah.
doubt.
If you want to expand your awareness, expand your understanding of what tuning forks can do and what in music and sound in general,
Yeah,
what the capabilities are. It's out there, yes.
yeah. Let me pivot just a little bit because you are part of the ISTA Therapeutic Sound Certification Program.
Yes,
And that was a 270-hour training, if I
yes.
remember right, correct?
Essentially a year long. Yeah.
What what inspired you to pursue that track?
Well, that's sort of interesting because I was working with Mandara at the time, and she suggested that I take it, and I thought, golly, well, the cost, and but she also needed, I knew she needed help
Yeah.
in the background.
Yeah.
And so we worked out an arrangement. And so I didn't go in with a purpose. I had already been, about 2017, I had already been teaching for 30 years
Yeah.
and working with tuning forks. And I said, I wasn't really expecting to learn too much, but boy,
Yeah.
was I surprised.
Really.
Not
Yeah.
only did I learn new techniques to use with the tuning forks, I learned more techniques to use with the voice. I learned all about the singing bowls. I already had a crystal bowl, but I didn't have any of the metal bowls. So I
Yeah.
got to learn that. So on the learning side of it, it was profound. And the toning exercises, which Krista has already mentioned, we had to do mandalas.
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, when you draw before you tone and then you draw after you tone, you see the difference in your energy field.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, and so my toning class this fall is going to include the drawing exercises.
Who knew? Draw and your voice gets better.
Yeah, no, it's not the other way around.
Oh,
Like you draw something, that's how what you're feeling,
yeah.
what's going on in your body, in your head. You tone, and then you draw again,
All right.
and you see the difference that the toning made.
Wow. So we're going to have a panel of discussion for the TSC panel in talking about this year-long program. One of the things that I think about is that education is so important
It
at
is.
all stages of your journey in sound. What would you encourage people, or what do you think that people will get by coming to the TSC panel?
I think that they will see practitioners who have stepped up and are doing the work and doing well. They've
Mhm.
also their life has changed, their life has improved, because they've gotten to know who they really are through this process.
True.
And because you can't go through something a year long and not see the changes.
Yeah, that makes
And
a lot of
so,
sense.
and even if you've been in the thing for a long time, and even if you've had other certification classes, which I had, this one was absolutely astounding and life changing that it can be.
Yeah,
And not just because you learn more, because like I said, I've been doing things for 30 years.
yeah.
And so I think yeah, it's
You
all
really book.
worth it. And to have that accreditation from an established organization like ISTA is also very, very good.
Yeah. One of the things in the world of sound that we're seeing is that there's so many teachings out there where, you come for a weekend and wham bam, you're a sound therapist and you get a bowl to boot. And it's just not true. It takes a
No,
lot of work
it
to
does.
actually be a certified sound therapist to know what you're doing.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the true values of ISTA in this conference, bringing so many real certified sound therapists together to inspire and bring knowledge like what you're bringing. Is there anything else you would like to share in regards to what you're bringing to the conference, or your own teachings or your own learnings from what you've done?
Well, I'm I like to share my knowledge, but this scale of 11 has been so profound. It's taken 25 years of my life and going into all the things that I had to learn, etc. So when you come, be it, keep an open mind, be ready to experience, be ready to listen, be ready to feel, and let's see what the magic comes from it.
I love it. Delores, you are truly a pioneer, and I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed for the number of years that it is, for the service you've given to ISTA and the service that you're giving to sound overall. Thank you so much. We look forward to having you at the ISTA Sound Conference.
I look forward to being here. Thank you, Don, for having me.
Absolutely. So everybody make sure that you register right now. It's going to be at istasounds.org, and you go to registration. It's going to be the ISTA Sound, ISTA, we're calling it ISTA Live because we are live. It's the ISTA Live Conference in Atlanta, Georgia, October the 2nd through the 4th, and we've got an added date on the 5th. And so I encourage everyone to be there because this is where the great minds of sound are beginning to come together. Until next time, I'm Don Reed Simmons, and you are inside the sound chamber. Thank you.